Welcome to the third video on parallel structure. Today we are looking at clauses. So parallel structure, in review, is not a parallel universe, but it is the balance of all words, phrases, and clauses in grammatical structure. This ensures that all items in a sentence are given the same importance. So today we're looking at clauses, and to start that off, we're going to review what those are. An independent clause can stand on its own because it is a complete sentence. It has a subject and a verb. Some examples. World War II began in September of 1939. Germany invaded Poland. France and England declared war on Germany. So if we highlight our subjects in green and our verbs in purple, you can see that these are independent clauses because, in a true test, if I can take the verb and the subject and put them together, and it is a complete sentence, I have an independent clause. World War II began. Germany invaded. Those are complete sentences and thus independent clauses. So to connect two independent clauses, I'm going to need a conjunction. And a great way to make a conjunction is to use a fanboy. Now these are not all of the conjunctions, but they're a great start. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. These are our fanboys, and this acronym allows us to remember what makes you sound intelligent as you're connecting two independent clauses. So if we connect some of them, World War II began in September of 1939 because Germany invaded Poland. France and England declared war on Germany. Remains independent, but I could connect it. I could say Germany invaded Poland, so France and England declared war on Germany. Alternately, I have a dependent clause. Now, a dependent clause cannot function as a complete sentence. It has to have an independent clause. So, we tend to see them as they're set off with commas. Too many. World War II began in September of 1939. When Germany invaded Poland, France and England declared war on Germany. So if I leave my independent clauses in blue, because they are complete independent clauses, and then I put my subject back in green and our verb in purple, you can see the dependent clauses. Too many. Well, it sounds like you've got too many of what? But in this case, we look at see how it's dependent. It can't stand on its own, but it does make clarification for our sentence. Too many. World War II began. Now, switching gears a little bit, but also something we're going to look into our clauses. Active voice. Now, maybe you've had a teacher harp on you for this. In an active voice sentence, the subject of the sentence performs the action expressed in the verb. So if you're jazzercising, that means that you're the subject of the sentence and you're the one doing the jazzercise. So here we go. World War II began in September of 1939. If we're looking at that same sentence, our subject is in green, our verb is in purple. Did the subject perform that action? Well, yeah, it did. Or how about this one? France and England declared war on Germany. Our subject is in green. Did France and England declare? Yes, they did. Therefore, this is an active voice sentence. Alternately, though, we have passive voice. And this is when the action is performed upon the sentence subject. So we get kind of this weird speech that makes you sound like Yoda. So if you were to change a sentence into passive voice, you would have something like this, where the subject of the sentence falls into a different place, and we get to recolor code things. September of 1939 was the beginning of World War II. So our subject is in green, our verb is in purple, so in that lavender color, we have our subject's direct object. Poland was invaded by Germany. Germany was declared war on by France and England. We have to add words in to make things passive voice. Now, we're looking at parallel structure within clauses. We've talked in the past about verbs and their tenses, adverbs and adjectives, and plural nouns. And we've talked about how each of these patterns have to match within a sentence. Well, this stays the same even between clauses. Therefore, a clause can't have any kind of non-match. Also, clauses have to stay the same between active and passive voice through the entire sentence. That means that you can't speak like Yoda. So let's look at a non-example between discrepancies in clauses. After the First World War, Germany is not allowed to have a standing army or large weapons. Our problem here is verb tense. We've said that after, so that shows something in the past tense, but our verb within our independent clause is a present tense noun, so we need to fix that. Pretty simple, just change the tense of the noun. Let's look at a little more difficult one. America did not enter the war until 1941 when Pearl Harbor was bombed by the Japanese. Now here, our dependent clause at the beginning is falling into the active voice, but our second clause is in passive. So we can go ahead and see how we can change that because our teachers like to see passive voice gone. So let's change it to America did not enter the war until 1941 when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. Now I have had to change kind of the structure of the sentence because to make things into passive voice it adds lots of words. So again, the wordiness condenses when we change it into active voice. The Allies landed on Nazi-occupied France to transport soldiers and equipment to provide support for the French resistance, and the ports needed to be reclaimed. So we have, again, active, passive voice. And to change that, we're just going to go ahead. We've already talked about infinitive verbs, so let's go ahead and change it that way. The Allies landed on Nazi-occupied France to transport soldiers and equipment to provide support for the French resistance and to reclaim the ports. I love my little typo. In review, independent clauses can stand alone as sentences, but dependent clauses need an independent clause to be a sentence. Active voice sentences, that's where the subject of the sentence performs the action expressed in the verb, but passive voice is when the action is performed upon the sentence's subject. But keep all of this in mind, and remember that through parallel structure, it's the balance of words, phrases, and clauses, making sure that a sentence has the same grammatical structure and importance. This provides clarity to your writing. If you have further questions, contact your teacher.